What if moving to New Zealand wasn't as simple as you thought it was going to be? What if your child, for example, had an illness that might affect the visa that you were able to get, or even affect being able to come to New Zealand in the first place? What advice did you get when you were looking to come to New Zealand with a child that needed medical attention?
Yeah, I have read Immigration New Zealand, Acceptable Standards of Health more times.
Yeah, I bet.
Than I can tell you. The first time I read it, I was like, I think that we can do this.
In this week's episode, you're going to hear from Kristen. Kristen is one of those people that if ever anyone has ever told you, oh, moving to New Zealand, no, I don't think so, far too hard, only like really special people can do that. If anyone's ever told you that and you've wanted inspiration, then this is the episode for you. Kristen has gone through thick and thin and back again to get to where she wants to be. She is gorgeous. She is wonderful. She's from Denver, Colorado. She's moving to New Zealand, and this is her story. NZ Ahead, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand. Kristen, welcome to the podcast. I am so happy to have you here with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We've been trying to sort this call out for a while, and whenever I see someone for the first time, I'm always like, I just want to reach through and go, oh, thank you for being here. So it's just lovely to see your face. I've seen your name a lot on the community, but it's lovely to see your face and have you.
Yeah.
I want to jump in today about how you came, because you're just about to move to Queenstown, aren't you? Before we get to the end of that story, I'd like you just to introduce yourself and tell us how you're sitting at the other end of the screen talking about moving to New Zealand. Who are you? Who are your family? And why New Zealand?
Yes. So my name's Kristen. I live right now in a suburb of Denver, Colorado with my family, my husband, Ken. My daughter, Iris, is 5, and my son, Oliver, is just about to turn 2. He'll turn 2 right about the time that we move. We have talked about moving out of the States since probably about 2020 or 2021. We've been interested in it a long time for different reasons. A lot of the reasons are talked about on this very podcast, but nothing seemed right, if that makes sense. The timing never quite seemed correct. We would research different places and go, either that's not going to work, or our jobs, there's no jobs for us there. There's not a need there. So it's been a bit of a long journey.
Yes.
I am a mental health counselor. I have a private practice in Denver. I've worked for a couple of different places. I started my career journey in career counseling, a very specific niche of counseling in the counseling world. I shifted more into couples work, trauma work, and postpartum mental health work in the last couple of years, and then started my private practice last year, and it's been thriving, and there's a lot of feelings about that. But yeah, so it's been a long journey figuring out where are we going to go, what makes sense for us, what makes sense for our family. Yeah.
Let me just stop you and there's a couple of things I want to ask you. First of all, this is a really nosy question. Why, when you say your business is thriving and you say there's a few feelings about that, what feelings do you have about that, about your business thriving?
Yeah, I think as a therapist, you get attached to your clients, right? You get attached to their stories. They get attached to you. As a private practice owner, you get really proud when a business does well, when you can start a wait list, when you find your right kind of niche for people, that people like you, that people want, that people keep coming. That's a huge source of pride. And I was listening to the podcast on grief, and I was thinking about Brian's journey going from, he owned a business himself, he left that business to come to New Zealand, and I will do the same work in New Zealand. Could I, in theory, start a practice in New Zealand someday? Sure, maybe in theory. Would I want to? I don't know, honestly. But yeah, there's a lot of grief with it, right? I set up this practice, I'm proud of it. And now I say, okay, I'm going to walk away.
Have you ever been to New Zealand before?
I went for the first time in May of this year. I had never been before. I'd only got out of the country one other time. I went to Hong Kong when I was in college, and that was amazing. But no, I had not been to New Zealand before.
Okay. And what about Ken? Has he been to New Zealand?
No, Ken had never been out of the country, had hardly been out of the state of Colorado. Ken's a Colorado native before I met him. And then we honeymooned in Mexico. And I said, at some point, you're going to need to go a little bit further, expand your bubble a little bit. So this is a first, a major first for him. From a New Zealand is still an English speaking country. There's not necessarily a barrier there, but it is different culturally than the States. And so I've been trying to prepare him for that a little bit, just from what I saw in the time frame that I was there. Yeah.
So the first time you came was April this year. You came for a look and get your job sorted. We're going to talk about that later on in the episode. But why New Zealand? Why not just why not Canada or some other part of the world? Why New Zealand?
I think that there's a lot of different reasons. I think there's a lot of pieces that made New Zealand desirable. Obviously, it's gorgeous. When you think about different countries to move to, friends keep telling me, everybody talks about wanting to move to New Zealand because it's gorgeous, but nobody actually does it. So there's that adventure aspect. We live in Colorado. Colorado is a very adventurous state as it stands anyways. So obviously we want to raise our children in an outdoor environment. We want to raise our children in a safe country. New Zealand is a really safe country. I would say many other countries other than the States tend to be safer in terms of gun violence. But I think a couple of the reasons were, particularly my job is in high demand. There's a straight to residency path. It's a green list role. And I had multiple different pathways that I could have gone down because I have done career counseling in the past. And I am also a mental health counselor. And on the green list, those are two separate categories that are both on the green list. And so I could have gone in either direction. Whereas other English speaking countries, not that was the only piece that we were looking at. Australia doesn't necessarily want counselors, they want psychologists or social workers. Canada has some similar challenges in terms of the counseling field. And so when we were looking at different places, obviously New Zealand comes to mind, and we were like, oh my gosh, you get a path to residency. That you don't necessarily have to go through a ton in order to get that residency and the benefits of that. And so that was a no-brainer from that job perspective. And there's a need.
Yeah. So a career counselor, can you just describe what a career counselor is?
I didn't know either at the time. When I was going to grad school and specializing in that, I was like, I think I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing and how this is different from mental health counseling. And then as I got further into it, I was like, I kind of understand. Career counseling is a niche area of the counseling field in that you support people with either trauma that they experience in the workplace, exploring what values or purpose or meaning looks like for them, how they either want to live that out from a career perspective, or a lot of times people have some inherent shame about, some people are like, I live to work. Some people are like, I work to live. And so career counseling is helpful for helping people navigate, identifying what does that mean for you. Culturally too, there's a lot that goes into how people choose career. Most of the time people are choosing career based off of their family of origin or their culture. And right, I think about maybe students I worked with in the past who said, my parents told me that I need to be a doctor, and I absolutely hate anything medical. And there's a lot of like emotion and shame and uncertainty around that because they don't know what else they want to do. And I think career counseling helps people with the emotional side of not just career choice or career decision making, but also like traumatic things that happen. I was chatting with somebody last night who said that they do a lot with workplace trauma, nurses who care for people who die, or first responders. And mental health counselors are equipped to handle those things. But there are some additional pieces that I think that career counseling provides that maybe people aren't totally aware of. I wasn't.
Thank you so much for explaining that. And as you were talking, I felt essentially, I want to pay you for this podcast. I feel like Honestly, I feel like I've got to be careful here and remember that we're talking about you moving to New Zealand and not about everything else that I want to
like,
talk to you about.
Tell me about your career, Liz. I know. Yeah, tell me about your values.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm going to put a pin in it, but I also want to talk to you about how New Zealand as a workplace. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that New Zealanders are quite like, just get on with it. She'll be right. We don't talk about stuff like that. I don't know if that's a fact or not, whether I'm just being totally ignorant about, but is there a big need for it in New Zealand? Do people want to talk about things that are happening? Is it changing, is what I'm trying to say? And are we losing that? No, come on, just stiff up a lip and get on with it. You're going to be all right. We must be, mustn't we? Because you're needed.
Yeah. And I think what happens too is that this is no dig to that perspective, because I certainly have fallen into it myself at times, right? If you're raised in that way, you fall into that way. And a lot of people are. What ends up happening is that people come and they're like, they end up going to an emergency room and they're like, I think I'm having a heart attack, right? And they find out, oh, you're having a panic attack. They're like, why am I having a panic attack? I don't have any. I'm just going to shove it down and move on. It's like weeds. It just pops up. And you're like, why do I have weeds? And this is a weird analogy, but counseling is like the weed fixer of your yard. You can't just mow the weeds down. They come back.
Oh, I feel so privileged to be sitting opposite you, talking to you. I really do. Thank you so much for everything you do in the world. Thank you. We need people like you so much. And quite right that you would feel grief about leaving your clients, because I bet they absolutely love you.
Oh, thank you, Liz.
So let's get back to your story. It's 2020. You want to move to New Zealand. How do you do it? What you've got children? There are a lot. Did you have Ollie then? Because he's only 2 now. No, you didn't.
No. So we weren't even sure that we would have a second around that time frame.
Okay. What did it look like? Tell me what it looked like. What did the whole process look like?
At the time in 2021, we were like, all right, let's figure out moving to Canada. And we got somewhat down that line, talking to immigration people. And then for some reason we paused. And I cannot remember why. I think something was probably happening with Iris. We were just not certain. And then we ended up getting pregnant with Oliver, moved up more towards the Denver metro area. We were living pretty far south. And we abandoned it and we said, I guess this is it. And then last year, I remember, I was telling Ken this morning, it was the 4th of July, and that's a really big holiday for some Americans. For some, it's not. We were sitting on our back porch, our back patio. A lot of people in Colorado like to set off fireworks. And we were just watching them and we were like, I think it's time. It was an interesting, sobering moment of, no, we mean it now. This is real. This is happening. There wasn't necessarily okay, let's pull the to-do list out and get going on it. It was like, let's do some researching, figuring out what this might look like for us and what this could look like for our family, what this could look like for our kids. And we'll see what kind of happens. From that time frame, life got busy. We didn't really pick back up on it. We would do things here and there, trying to search or do research on different things. We didn't pick it back up until January.
2020, like January this year, 2025. Okay.
And then it was like, light the fire,
yes,
and get it done.
There are a couple of things I want to just delve into a little bit, if you don't mind, talking about your personal life, because I know that you've had some health issues with your daughter Iris. And I wonder if you could just talk about that. Like, how did that affect your decision to move to New Zealand, and whether or not you even thought you could move to New Zealand?
Yeah, absolutely. Iris has something called Turner syndrome. It is not a genetic medical thing. It's random. I think the rate is like 1 in 2,000 girls will be born with Turner syndrome. It's basically something where you're missing some of your X chromosome. Women have 2 X chromosomes. Girls with Turner syndrome are either missing all of the second one or some of the second one. For Iris, she's missing some of her second one. And what that has meant for her, she's such a great kid. She's such a great kid. We weren't sure what was going to happen with her, what life would look like with her. Some of girls with Turner syndrome have zero issues ever. Some of them have significant issues. And then there are some people, I would say probably us, who exist in the middle, where Iris is great developmentally. She loves school. She loves her friends. She loves bossing people around. She's a sassy kid. But she has a couple of medical issues that I would say now, thank goodness, are managed. But it's been a long road figuring that out. She has some urological issues, TMI, but I tell people like urine just doesn't exit her body well for some reason, just her makeup. And so I think that's been the ride with her, is figuring out how do we help this child with this issue. And she had a certain setup from 2020 until 2022. Her doctors were like, let's change it to this thing so that she can potty train and all of that good stuff. And when they did that, it caused a lot of issues for her. It was not the right move for her. And so we've been in this process of going backwards to what she was doing in 2020 and 2022. And thank goodness we're there now, because she doesn't really need anything other than doctor follow-up urology visits, making sure that she's good. Like, she doesn't have kidney disease, thank goodness. Some girls who have urological issues do. She has some heart issues. When she was a baby, she had heart surgery when she was 9 days old. That was scary. Oh. But right now we see cardiology annually and they're like, she's fine. Like, she'll be fine. Like, she doesn't need anything, right? We just see her, we check the box, we say she's good. But it's meant a lot for her in terms of us figuring out moving. Most countries with socialized healthcare don't want to bring in people who have any sort of medical issues. Understandably, right? That's a resource that should absolutely go to the people that live there. And there's challenges with that sometimes. So obviously that's a huge part of a visa review or an application process, is what are the health issues that you're coming in with? And is it too great for what this country is willing to take on or take you in for? And I think that's been a journey for us. Is there's a lot out there that says, don't even try, don't even think about it. And we were in that spot for a long time. We'd go back and forth very often between it's not possible, we shouldn't even bother, to I think let's try, let's just give this a shot, it's worth a see. And I'm so glad that we did. Because it's very possible. And Iris, I'm confident. I've researched this a million different ways. I'm confident Iris does not pose a significant risk or burden. I hate to use the word burden because I don't see my child as a burden.
No.
But her health issues do not place a significant strain on a health system other than annual follow-up visits. Her health issues probably would have posed an issue at a certain time in her life, the period of the last couple of years that we have been navigating, figuring out what the right urological solution for her is. And I think that's probably been a source of us pausing for a long time of, let's get her stable. Let's make sure that she's got the right setup. Thank goodness we have been there. We're there now. But we don't want to come to a country and have our child need to be hospitalized. That wouldn't feel good to us either.
No. What does Ken do? I don't know if I asked you this. What does Ken do for a job?
He's a digital marketing director. He works at a university right now.
Right. Okay. And when you were talking, and this brave little girl that has been through 9 days old, did you say she was, when she had her first heart surgery, or 9, very little, and been through all this and all this trauma, and with such a brave mum and dad as well. And listen, you're coming to New Zealand. You're bringing skills to New Zealand that New Zealand need. We want you in New Zealand because you're bringing skills. And I don't think it's right that you're saying that I don't want to be a burden. You're not a burden. You've got a little girl that needs medical attention. No. If you were coming to New Zealand going, I'm going to come and I'm laying on the dole, that's it for me. I want housing, I want dole, I want everything free. That's it. I'm giving you nothing. No, Kristen, you're not. You're bringing such valuable skills, this is what this country is built on. And please, if it's any reassurance to you, do not
Thank
feel
you.
like, no, yeah, please don't feel like that. Yeah. And we wish her all the best health in the world. And
she's great now. She's,
but that must have been, and I understand why, because when you're applying for, and again, this is not visa advice, immigration advice. This is just Kristen's story, and this is just us talking. But when you're applying for a visa, it's common knowledge that you have to have a medical. And that must have just been, your first thought must have just been like, how are we going to do it? Were you just like scrolling through loads of information, trying to find out like what it said? And also, what was the advice? What advice did you get when you were looking to come to New Zealand with a child that needed medical attention?
Yeah, I have read the Immigration New Zealand Acceptable Standards of Health more times
I bet
than I can tell you. The first time I read it, I was like, I think that we can do this. Again, it goes back to that me oscillating between, is this possible? I don't know. I think it is. I read the Acceptable Standards of Health and I was like, I am pretty sure based off of what my eyeballs are seeing on this page that she does meet the acceptable standards of health. But I was like,
you are here because you love New Zealand.
You might be moving to New Zealand,
living in New Zealand, or you might just spend your days dreaming of visiting this gorgeous country. Because we love New Zealand as much as you do, we have compiled a short and very unique 5-day video series showcasing life in New Zealand, what it's really like. These videos are real, they are exclusive, and best of all, they're absolutely free. So if you would like to view New Zealand from the inside out and find out what life is really like down here, sign up now, and every day for 5 days we will send you a personal 3-minute video showcasing some brilliant aspect of life in New Zealand. You are gonna love it. Go to www.itsadrama.com/ILoveNZ. We can't wait to share those videos with you. Okay, let's get back on with the show.
I don't know. At the same time, I don't know. I don't know what these professionals are looking for, what the medical assessor is looking for. I don't know. So immediately I was like, I need immigration support that can tell me, is it worth giving a shot? And I think that was the beautiful thing about researching in this process, is that immigration advisors don't want to take you on if you're not a viable candidate. It doesn't make them look good if you fail. And so they'll tell you have to be forthcoming. Absolutely. I think I had interviews with maybe 5 or 6 different places, organizations, and each of them, I was like, all of you are bringing something great to the table, and some of them were like, I don't know. Based off of what you're telling me, I'm not totally sure, because their immigration advisors are not medical professionals. They don't know entirely. So I just I was like, I'm going to get 6 different opinions. If they all tell me no, then that's the answer, and I'll accept that. I'll be okay with that. Overwhelmingly, it was like, I wouldn't take you on if this was impossible. If this was not possible, I would not take you on. And I think that's the big thing that made a difference for us. Again, if it ends up being a no, we're still in this process right now. We're doing our applications. Mine's done. Ken and the kids are in process, but I'll accept that if that is to come to pass. But I believe the people who tell me it's possible, and the people who have been doing this or specializing in really difficult cases, not just medical, but otherwise, for a long time.
Are you using an immigration advisor that specializes in these sorts of cases?
Yeah.
You are. Who are you using out of interest?
It's called Immigration Trust.
Okay. You happy with them? Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, because
his name is Simon. I'm like, Simon, I love you.
You go for it. Go for it. Because the fact is, other people listening to this will need to know this kind of information.
Yeah. And the reason why I went with him is because he told me, I know that there's a certain procedural process to this. You can't just tell me, yes, it's possible, let's give it a shot. There's other things that need to happen after that point. And this immigration agency that I ended up going with was like, it's possible. The devil is in the details. I will tell you exactly what her doctors need to say in their letters, not like a script or anything like that, but what they need to include, that Immigration New Zealand needs to see in order to make their determination. And that alone, I was like, sold.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Isn't it
Yeah.
great when you meet someone and you think, you're the person. You're the person who can help me with this. It's absolutely fantastic. And on that note, I know we've talked off camera about I'm just in so much awe because not only are you a mum with two very young children, one of those, your little girl, you must and I know she's not in a hospital all the time, but I know that must be, as a mum, a constant worry for you, and she's on your mind, and you're running your own practice, and you're trying to get into New Zealand. But what struck me was...
Don't remind me, Liz.
Yes. And I bet you've got a dishwasher that needs unloading, haven't
I sure
you?
do. Yeah.
But what really struck me was how you were saying about community and networking, and just how people are saying like, oh, it's not possible, but you have found this power through community and networking. And it's exactly like that with your immigration advisor. You've researched and you found that. Can you just talk to me about what that means to you to be a networker like you're being, and how much it's helped your case?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having my niche be career counseling, it was driven into me. Like, people get jobs through relationships, and not like I message you on LinkedIn and we have a chat and then I get a job. Like, if I'm advising somebody from a career counseling perspective who's interested in getting a job in a certain field, I'm like, go and make actual real friends, because you will work among these people anyways. And it's a win-win. It's a win-win. And so when I was starting this process and starting the job searching process, I found myself like on the job boards, and I was like, that's not where this lives. That's not where this lives. It does not live on the job board. Sometimes it feels good to search a job board, and I'm not knocking, right? Like applying for jobs via Seeker or whatever. But I was like, people are going to want to hire somebody that they know. And I don't know a soul. I don't know a soul. So I was like, one, of course, the NZ Ahead Slack community, I was like, bingo number one. I'll do what I can, ask for advice, network with the folks in this group. And I'll talk about when I actually went to New Zealand. But I was like, the things that I need in my toolbox, I need a career counselor who is in New Zealand, who is as much as they can be, a New Zealander who knows the job market, who can tell me what's what, if my stuff is right. I love my career counselor. She was amazing. She lives in Hamilton. She was just phenomenal to connect with. From the first meeting, she was like, I tend to be, in terms of a career counselor, this is the counselor in me. I'm like, what are you feeling? She was like, you need to do ba 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 ba. People are going to want to hire somebody that they know. And I was like, yes, agreed. I'm with you on that. At that point, I had talked to a couple of people who said, you need to go in person to New Zealand. That's how connections are made. Also, they're not necessarily made online. Though certainly I did talk to a couple people online before I left. But yeah, I was like, of course, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, but I was like, I want to meet you in person. I want to sit down with you. I will buy you coffee. I will make it worth your while. I will not take up too much of your time. But I knew, I was like, if I'm going to live in this country, I want to be friends with the people who live there. I don't want to just get a job. I don't want to just engage with these people from the perspective of give me a job, give me a job, give me a job. I was like, I need to actually be in community with these people. That's challenging on the scale that I was going for. Reaching out to a lot of people. I think I shared this on the call. I'm a very introverted person generally. I seek a lot of solace in being by myself and just silence and quiet. But with this process, I was like, we're not going to do that. We cannot do that here. You need to talk to as many people as who are willing to talk to you. So I had reached out to a couple of people before I even left. The practice that eventually hired me, I had reached out to back in maybe March. The person who's operating this practice is one of the few accredited employers in the South Island where we're going. And so I was, as a counselor, there's already an inherent challenge because in New Zealand, they want psychologists. Of course, they want counselors too, but it's more heavily leaning towards psychologists, right? There's not necessarily recruitment firms for counselors. So that was a barrier already. So I was just combing through the accredited employer list, just looking like, what are the places that are accredited that even have counseling or therapy? I was literally searching counseling, therapy, counselor, mental health, like any of the terms. And then with what I ended up finding, I would reach out personally to that organization and I would say, hey, I'm an American. I'm looking for a job in New Zealand. I noticed that your organization does this work. I'm very interested in that work. I just want to connect with you. Is there somebody that your organization would just be willing to chat with me? Some would say yes, some would say no. This practice that I'm going to said yes. And the owner is amazing. We had such an amazing chat. It immediately felt like friendship. It didn't feel like strict or structured routine or anything like that. And so I was like, this might be an option for me. So when I came out to New Zealand, I spent 7 days in the Queenstown, South Island area, 7 days in Auckland, and almost every single day I was meeting a new person to either talk about jobs, meeting people from the Slack community. I got super overwhelmed at different points, but it was so positive. I met up with my career counselor in Hamilton. I was like, I will absolutely drive from Auckland to Hamilton to see you. I don't know anybody else in Hamilton. I'm not, again, I'm not, I was like, I don't have any job interviews in Hamilton. I don't necessarily have another reason to be in Hamilton, but I was like, I'm going to meet this person who has been, I paid her. I was like, I'm going to meet her in person. I'm going to thank her. I'm going to buy her lunch. I'm going to because she's been kind to me and she's helped me in different ways. Of course, I'm going to do that. I don't need to have another reason to be in Hamilton.
It's incredible. For one, being an introvert myself, I'm just like in awe of, just can't even imagine picking up the phone and going, do you want to meet me? Because it's just, oh no, I'll just send Brian instead. But so that was really brave. And also, again, this is how New Zealand has been built. That's what all the Kiwis say to you is just, it's about the people. It's the people. I'm really annoyed that I don't know the actual Oa for it, but the Māori saying the people, and that's what it's about, the connection. It's about the people. And so, yeah, you when you said that, when you told me your story, I was like, oh, you're so going to fit in. You're so made for this country. And on top of that, and I keep reiterating this because, again, as a mum, I can't believe it. You've come over to New Zealand, and I know Ken was there to look after the kids, but he must have been thinking, oh, come on, Kristen, we have a little bit of a holiday. We can just...
He didn't even go. The Ken and the kids stayed home.
Oh, you went on your own. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I stayed in the Auckland CBD when I was there. I was like, should I do this? Should I not? Yeah, I think I listened to your podcast with Adam and what he was talking about of difference between Los Angeles or big US cities and Auckland. I was like, I saw, again, in Los Angeles or even Denver, there will be miles and miles of homeless camps.
Yeah.
Miles, just areas, streets that you will not even go to in this kind of central area. I kept waiting to find that in Auckland, and I never did. Of course, there are folks who are homeless, folks who are on drugs, but I think I stayed in the heart of the CBD when I was in Auckland. Less than 3 individual people that I saw. And I would walk to my car. Oh, I didn't do a whole lot of research. Car parks in Auckland are hard to come by and they're expensive. And so I was walking a lot. But yeah, I was by myself and I was actually very comfortable.
Yeah. You felt safe? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we were talking about the community, I have to tell you this story because when it was happening, I was just like, what is happening? I had a networking conversation with this one woman in Auckland. She was so happy to meet up with me. I either bought her coffee or I bought her second because she got there and paid for her coffee before I could pay for it. So I was like, I'm buying your second if you have one. She spent 5 hours with me on this one day. We were talking about our life stories, and this is probably therapists. We tend to go deep really fast. Tell me about your childhood trauma. Tell me about your adulthood trauma. I want to know about it right now. Nice Brilliant. To meet you. It's been 10 minutes. I've just met you. And I love that about therapists. But we spent a long time together, and we were talking about life. She told me about her life story. I shared a little bit of mine about why we were coming. And she was like, this was Mother's Day weekend. And I had a little bit of sadness. I was like, I was going to be in New Zealand for Mother's Day. I was a little bit sad about that, but I was like, Ken, you're not allowed to tell the kids that it's Mother's Day. It'll be Mother's Day when I come back. But she knew that I was by myself. And she said, my family is going to the Auckland Zoo tomorrow for Mother's Day. Come with us. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
The introvert side of me was like, oh God, oh God. But then she had just spent all of this time with me. So nice and kind, right? In those situations, I know I'm like, you say yes and
Yeah.
you do it. And I went, I spent 6 hours at the Auckland Zoo with this therapist and her entire family, extended family, her kids, her mom, her sisters. They
Oh.
all had to have been like, what is this random American doing
Yeah.
at our Mother's Day outing at the Auckland Zoo? But we had a wonderful time. It was a nice time. And I got to connect with them as well. They were super kind to me. I got to see the Auckland Zoo. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
gone otherwise. I wasn't there for tourism. But it was just so nice. And they were so sweet. They were like trying to sell me on Auckland. And I was like, I'll be here if I can. It depends on where the job comes. But it's so kind.
So how did you meet her? Where did you meet her from?
I got connected to her through some other connection.
Okay.
Connecting with was like, oh, you should talk to this person. She's a counselor for this organization. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And when I came home, I sent her a gift card to the cafe that we ended up going to. I did that to a couple of people. I'm like, again, you've spent this time with me, especially like 6 hours, a whole weekend. I essentially spent my entire weekend with this family, with this woman.
Yeah.
I was like, of course I'm going to pay it back to you somehow. Thank you. You didn't have to do that.
And do you know what? Was she also new to the country, or was she like born in New Zealand, or was she?
No, she was from South Africa.
So she knew how you felt, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about paying it back, isn't it? Do you know what? This is what I'm always saying to Brian. It's people are lovely. People are lovely and people just want to help. But I get what you're saying about the introvert side, because that would have been hard. Do you find it as just hang on a minute, people listening to the podcast, just put this to one side, this personal question I need to ask Kristen. Do you find it as an introvert, do you find it easier to be outgoing when you're on your own? Or because I find that when I'm with Brian, I just tend to let him do all the talking or let him do everything. But when I'm actually on my own and like have to do it, I'm actually quite brave. Did you find the same or?
Yeah, it depends on the purpose. Right. I'm at a party with Ken and I don't know a whole lot of people there. Depends on my mood or it depends on what's happening at the time frame or if we have the kids or not. Right. Sometimes I'll chat people up. I think we did this event over the weekend. Ken was like golfing or something and I was caddying for him and he was golfing with these other people. And that day I was just like, I'm just going to allow myself to not. Like I spend my professional career asking people really in-depth questions about themselves. I imagine that's true for you also, right? Like I was like, I'm going to take a day off of really in-depth engaging with these people, not because I don't care, but because I can't engage with that part of myself today. That cup is empty.
I wonder as well, again, another personal question, but I bet people listening to this are going, oh, for God's sake, Liz, just stop it. But
We've gone into psychology.
Yeah, I know.
We're a psychology podcast.
I wonder if as well, because like you say, I find when I meet normal people in normal life, not like listening, not talking to people on a podcast, when I meet them in normal life, I can't be bothered with chit chat. I can't be bothered with, oh, so what do you do? Oh, so I just want to just ask them, like, when was the last time you really cried? Or what do you feel like about that? Or I don't know. So
I think maybe that's the introvert thing too. I was like, I am not excited about like chatting about the weather. Like, no, that's not gonna get me here. No, I want to know, what's your biggest fear? What's your relationship like with your parents?
Yes.
Those types of things. Yeah.
I've got to warn you though, maybe it's just me and people don't like talking to me about stuff like that, but I've struggled in New Zealand to find people who will go deep with me. Yeah. I really have. Yeah, I have. I'm just honest.
I struggle in the
that.
States too. That's why I say most of my friends end up being therapists because we're used to that. Right, it's not necessarily a great thing. That's not my hope for coming to New Zealand. But I think it's nice too. When I think about friendship too, right? There's different purpose. People serve different purposes in our lives. Some people are the like surface level. You just have fun with them. You don't have to like go so deep and intense with them. And that's positive. And some people are the people that you're like, I need to just dump on you and you'll get a turn at some point, but I just need this. And different purposes for different friendships is okay. And I think a lot of Americans are not comfortable going deep either.
Are they not? See, I thought...
not in my experience. In therapy sense, sure, but...
Maybe it's just compared to the Brits then, because I've always thought Americans were really like into their feeling, like really, they're really open and talking about it. To me, the Brits are just talking about myself. I don't know, I think we're quite as closed. Since I've been doing this for a job like a podcast, it's been so bliss because it's an excuse for me to be able to open up. But in real life, I'm quite closed. And like I say, not unless I really trust someone do I really, and then I want to go really deep with them. But it's surprising what you say about America. And also I'd be really interested to hear about how, I know you're not going to be able to tell me this because that's confidential and you wouldn't say about what your clients were doing, but like New Zealanders, I can't imagine New Zealanders getting really deep. So maybe it's just the people I know.
It's interesting. I think like when you get into a space where that's the norm or that's the expectation, right? Because Americans have this like cultural idea that like, right, hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? If you answer anything other than I'm good, how are you? It's, oh, damn it. No, you broke the code. Because this isn't necessarily all Americans. Americans are like, I don't want to know if you're bad. Just tell me that you're good and we can move on and whatever. But in a therapy context, right, people are primed to, they're like, dang, I'm going to go and I'm probably going to cry about something. And they're going to ask me deep questions. And so people are ready, a little bit more ready for that, especially like a first session is always uncomfortable for everybody because it's like a stranger. But still, the information that I get out of people in a first session is more than some of the friends that I've talked to and that I have in my present life. It's like that degree of closeness, like you feel a level of safety with somebody and you can go really deep with them. And certain people in my life right now, I'm like, I don't have that safety with you. You don't get that part of me.
On a professional level, do you ever have friends like wanting you to counsel them and do that for them? Or do they respect the fact that that's your job, you're their friend and you're not there for that?
I think it's the opposite. People think that counselors like psychoanalyze or like psychologists or whatever. They're like, oh, you're like psychoanalyzing me. And that the truth is that therapists are just as human and just as flawed and have just as much drama or relationship challenges as any of our clients do. Clients will tell me oftentimes, I know the tools, I'm just not using them. And I'm like, same.
Yeah.
A lot of my work is like helping people get out of that. But sometimes you just don't want to be the adult in the room. And sometimes Kim will talk to me about stuff and I'm like, what part of me do you want? What part of me are you looking for right now? Because I can empathize. I can turn on the counselor empathy with you if you are needing to problem solve something. Or you can get the wife part of me that's going to riz you about it.
Yeah. When you went to New Zealand and you met your career counselor in Hamilton, were you given the impression that counselling is needed by the younger generation of Kiwis, or is it all ages, or do you know the answer to that?
I think it's all. There's different things that have come out about the mental health landscape in New Zealand right now, basically saying that there's a high need. I think about, this is crazy to think about. For my job that I'm going into, I already have a wait list of clients. I know generally who I'm taking on, and it's all over the board.
Is it?
All over the board.
Oh, I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful. I really am, because it's needed. It's needed. I want to break this. Let's not talk about it. Let's keep it down. I'm really passionate about this at the moment. I'm so grateful that there are people like you out there doing this job and offering this service. It's life-saving. It's absolutely life-saving. So thank you so much. And going back to what you said earlier about, please don't ever think, oh, I might be a bit of a drain. No, please don't ever think that. You're bringing life-saving skills to our country. And I'm so grateful to you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anything? So now tell me, I'm getting all flustered now because I just want to talk to you as a therapist. I want you to therapy me.
Pro bono work this. We can talk about grief. We can talk about all the things.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. But you've got to find the right person. You've got to find the right person, haven't you? Again, I'm sorry, people listening to this. I'm sorry that me and Kristen are in this private conversation, but when Mum died and I went to a grief counsellor, and I just felt like I knew more than him. I couldn't help but ask him questions. And worst of it all, and I'm sure this was all part of the grief, the worst of it all was I was trying to make him laugh. And I was like, what are you doing? I couldn't just relax and let him talk to me. I was trying to keep up this. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. But I just want to say, you are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was when I went to Auckland, sorry, I'll include this story. When I went to Auckland, I went to a New Zealand Association of Counselors. They have a general meeting, and I just so happened to be there at the same time that it was happening. I have a cultural supervisor who's phenomenal, who told me about it, who invited me, and I said, yep, I will be there. And somebody spoke at the meeting, and it was a Maori person, and they were talking about their challenges with finding the right therapist. It took them a really long time. And this is not necessarily abnormal. This is also normal in the States. I have so many clients who come to me telling me, like, you would not believe the awful stuff or just like the awful experience that I had with this other person. But I asked him in this presentation, what was it about the person who you ended up choosing that made you able to open up, that made you feel safe? I was asking also partially because that's helpful for me to know, if I'm working with Maori folk, what helps you feel safe in that context. Part of it was that the person he was working with was a Maori person themselves, reminded him of his culture, but also there was an aspect of he could be himself, right? He could bring that part of himself into the room, his cultural side. He was like, it felt like I was talking to one of my aunties and they were just like processing stuff with me like that. You should feel like in that space that you can make your therapist laugh, at least for the first couple of sessions, and then they can get after you. Come on, don't do that. You're doing it again. But you should have some of those aspects that you feel safe, that this person understands who you are, at least outside of your deepest, darkest stuff, that makes you feel safe to keep opening up. And I was just like so struck by that. When that person talked, I was like, of course. Somebody who can see you knows at least a decent amount about your culture or your upbringing to know what to say even. Yeah, it was just interesting.
Yeah, it is. And as you were talking, you were talking about the Māori person who was opening up, and I was thinking, again, I'm speaking off, this is just my thoughts here, is the Māori people have got such wide families, like so many aunties and cousins, and I wonder if that is not such a great thing sometimes, because you'd always feel like, oh, you can just go and talk to them. Oh, you should just talk to her. In one sense, that would be great, but you don't want to burden your family with it. Sometimes you don't want to open up to your family. I know I don't. You want to speak to a complete stranger. Yeah.
And your family your family doesn't hold a non-judgmental stance. Your family has an opinion on the things that you do. And that's an inherent need in the counseling space, is there's no safety if there is judgment present.
We could
go on for days.
I know we could. Yeah, definitely. So where are you now in your process of you've got your job offer. Your job offer is in
Queenstown.
Queenstown. That's gorgeous, isn't it there? That's really nice.
Goodness.
I know. I know.
I was sitting to a couple of Brits on the plane into Queenstown, and I was like, I didn't even know that. I was like, you guys, are you seeing this right now? And they're like, we come here annually. Yeah, it was so funny. They were like, yeah, this is normal. I was like, this is insane. Do you see this?
Yeah, it's got to be one of the most flipping gorgeous stuff. It's like a film. It's like a picture, isn't it? It's like if you could draw the prettiest thing you could think of, like the mountains, and here's the water.
And the water.
Yeah, it's just gorgeous. Yeah. So lucky you. That is going to be fantastic. Yes. So whereabouts are you on your visa process? And can you just before we start wrapping things up, just talk to us about, is everything okay with Iris now? As in, has that all been passed? She's got a visa. Just talk to me about that for a minute.
Totally. So I applied for my AEWV, I think it was 2 weeks ago, or maybe 1 week ago. So in terms of dependent applications and again, this isn't necessarily visa advice, but like dependent applications cannot be submitted under an AEWV until the AEWV is granted. And so we have essentially all of the documents and waiting for them. Theirs are hanging out while mine's in process, and then theirs will be submitted. that's a bit of a stress right now. I'm not going to lie to you because I'm supposed to be starting this job. I have a wait list of clients and a thing to do. I'm supposed to be starting in sometime in August. And so the clock is ticking. And so I think that's the difficult part of this journey right now. In the Slack community, there's that channel, the life while we wait. And I don't necessarily post in that community often. Again, I'm an introvert. I have a hard time like posting unless I'm like setting something up with people. But I just look in that community often. I'm just like, my people, I am in life while we wait. My house is, we're working on selling our house next week, like putting on the market next week. I have a shipping container in my driveway right now. Like the train is on the tracks, it is moving. And so we're figuring out the approval of their applications. And to answer your question about Iris, she's so solid. She is so solid.
That's great.
And that's a relief for me also, right? It's been somewhat of a long journey for her. She will need no hospitals, we're annual visits with her physicians, all of those good things. And that's a relief for me on a totally different level, but especially for this move to New Zealand. And I have talked to all of her doctors and they're like, she's great. You guys will be great. We have zero concerns about you guys going there. So yeah, we're just in the wait. And I have zero doubt that she'll be approved.
Do you know
That's
what? I just want
to say right now. I'm going to jinx myself. Goodness.
You've got a lot going on in your head, haven't you? You've got a lot going on. And I'm just trying to picture now your container out there in the driveway and you're getting your house ready to sell. Oh, that in itself is just so stressful.
Yes.
It really is. What are you doing to de-stress? What do you do?
I told Ken his job is the house. My job up until this point has been so heavy administrative. I've done a lot of document gathering. That's not like, when I say it like that, it sounds like, I'm just the paper pusher of us. It's significant amount of work.
Yeah.
It is. It's a lot to gather. It's a lot to prove that Ken and I are in a happy, healthy, long-term marriage. And so I've been working on a lot of that stuff. I've told Ken, your job is the house. Like, delegate to me, absolutely. Tell me what things to pack and get rid of and go through or whatever. Putting this thing on the market and figuring out the shipping container and all of that stuff, I don't have the space for, not at this moment.
No.
So I love our marriage in that way, that we can tag team some of this stuff, because otherwise it's not doable.
Yeah. Do you know, I always say this, Kristen, I've got so much respect for solo parents and people who are coming over on their own, because how are you doing it? Because like you say, you need to be able to, or no, you don't need to be able to, but it's bliss to be able to go, can you just sort that out and I'll sort this out and work and get that team. So yeah, a huge amount of respect for people who do it on their own.
Same.
Yeah. So you're in the waiting game. You're supposed to start your job in August. I'm sure they're being really patient with you, because I know that they will want you and they will just be willing to wait. It's funny because yesterday I interviewed Huma, and she's been waiting like 8 months for her application to come through. And she just said the people who are waiting to take her employer have been so patient. So yeah, it seems to be a common Kiwi trait between the New Zealand employers. They're just super chilled about it. And the Americans in particular, although Huma is Canadian, they're quite shocked about it, that they're not like, where are you? Where are you? You said you were going to be here. So that's good to know, isn't it?
It's nice. And they know too, we're needing to let go of the outcomes, right? Where it's not out of both of our hands. It's not in the employer's hands. It's not in my hands either. It's in the hands of Immigration New Zealand, and they have hard jobs, right? They've got queues of their own that they have to go through. There's a lot that goes into that. Yeah, that's the mantra that I've been telling myself: just let go of the outcome. You cannot control this outcome right now. You can pack the shipping container. You can help declutter stuff. Let go of this outcome.
Oh, there's so much more I could talk to you about. There is so much more I could talk to you about, but I'm aware that I've kept you now, and I'm so glad that you've come and opened up about everything. Actually, it's been one of those conversations that just went in all different directions, and they're the best conversations to have ever. Yeah. Before I let you go, is there anything that I haven't asked you, or anything that you'd want to tell someone in a similar situation to yours, maybe, that you want to pass any information on?
Yeah, I think I had mentioned this. So many people have told us it's not possible. It's just not possible. I don't know how you guys are doing it. We could never do that. Or you guys are making this look so easy. I think that there's this person, and this is only our experience. It really varies. There is a lot of work to this. There's a lot of inherent stress in gathering documents and trying to move your whole family across the globe. It is challenging, but it's so possible. It is so doable. It's not this like impossible task that is just so crazy and hard and just not possible. And that's what I've found in this process, is that it's a lot more doable than people think it is. And here I am, I'm doing it with a kid with medical challenges. That it's not a straightforward apply for the visa, get the visa, be on your way type of thing. But it's still been very doable, very doable. So that's, I think, what I hope to share with folks. Eligibility determines all, but eligibility is not a light switch. It's not just black and white, yes or no. So it's worth an ask to anybody if it's possible, and then you just do it.
Yeah. You just do it, don't you, girl?
You just do it. You just, yeah.
You just do it.
Put the toys in the shipping container, and then you just go.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, Kristen, thank you so much for joining me. I'm honored to, like I say, to be sitting opposite you and hearing your story. And I know it's going to help so many people. So a huge thank you. And like I said to you in my message, thank you to the kids for letting me chat to you. And it is such a busy, stressful time that being able to have this chat has been brilliant. Wishing you all the luck. Obviously, we're in the Slack community, so we will be in touch. But yeah, thank you for joining me.
Happy to chat with you when I'm on the other side.
Okay, darling. Yeah, speak to you soon then.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, bye. I really hope you enjoyed that show as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you're moving to New Zealand and you are interested in joining the Slack group, the private community group that we raved about and talked about on today's show, then you need to head over and get our free 5-day video guide. This is a video guide that sends you a video every day for 5 days, sharing some aspect of what life in New Zealand is like. It's absolutely free. And then when you get to the 5th day, you will be given the option of whether or not you want to join the private community, the one that we talked about. It's a fabulous, fabulous resource. I don't need to say anything more because you've already heard all about it. Go over, take the free 5-day video guide, get to day 5, and then you can decide whether or not you'd like to be a member and join our private community along with me and Brian and all those other fabulous people that are walking along the same path as you and making the move to New Zealand. So head on over to www.nzahead.com/free. Head on over to www.nzahead.com/free and get your free 5-day video guide. Get to day 5 and then you decide if you want to come and join us in our private membership group. I hope to see you on the other side. You say you want to move to New Zealand, but how far would you be willing to go to come down under? Would you be willing, for example, to renounce your citizenship? Give up the passport of the country you were born? Back and talk about your parents. Are both your parents here?
They're both here. They're just a little bit outside of Toronto.
How did they feel about you giving up your Pakistani citizenship?
Yeah, different reactions, I think.
In this week's episode, you're going to meet Huma. Huma has fought nail and tooth to get to New Zealand. She has given up a lot of things. She has had to prove lots of things.
You need to account for.
Hang on. I need to stop you. Hang on. My brain is just about to explode. You're telling me that this national security check, they want to know every single day since you were 14 years old? Every day?
Yes.
But eventually she has got to where she wants to be. This is the story of someone who is determined beyond a doubt that New Zealand is the place she wants to be. So sit back and enjoy this episode with Huma.